With the announcement of Matrix 5, many fans are hoping that this new film will take us back to the beginning of the beta Matrix, to the time when the first version of the simulation was created. Other fans want to know what will ultimately happen to Thomas Anderson. Will Neo defeat the suits? Or was his adventure part of the system from the beginning? At the time of publishing this video, we don't know if Matrix 5 will be a sequel, prequel, spin-off, or a reboot. But we are hoping for certain questions to finally be answered. That's why in this video I've compiled 7 of the most interesting questions that could be answered in the next installment. From the origin of the exterminators, programs that could be the villains in Matrix 5, to possibly that there was a traitor among the original crew of the Nebuchadnezzar. And no, we are not talking about Cypher. Do you want to know who helped Cypher so he could have stake with Agent Smith? Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Number 7. Who are the exterminators? The exterminators are programs tasked with fixing and erasing errors, glitches, or evidence of the truth of the Matrix. They were first revealed in the Animatrix in the chapter titled Beyond. The story centers on a young woman named Yoko who loses her cat. Yoko lives in a place that looks like Japan, but of course it's not. She is just another human battery trapped inside a Matrix simulation, and she's about to discover the truth the hard way. In the town where she lived, there was a house that was said to be haunted because things happened there that defy physics, like rainbows appearing above the house.
I know, she's at the old haunted house. Hey look, there's a rainbow over there again.
Yoko doesn't understand why her cat would go to that place. The cat never misbehaved before. It was always an indoor cat. Well, it wouldn't be the first time that a cat leads someone towards the truth.
Oh, déjà vu.
Apparently Yoko's cat was being used to lure her to this place where the rules of reality were skewed. Here, time and space were broken. This section of the simulation was corrupted. Gravity wasn't working, and even animals that entered this place became corrupted by the faulty code. One small area of the house had rain falling constantly, while the other side was clear and sunny. The mystery of this place increases even more when Yoko found children playing there. These kids have been visiting this site for some time, playing and having fun with the glitches they found. The children were fascinated by the anomalies, often defying the laws of physics that normally govern reality. The kids were jumping from the roof, and instead of falling down and hurting themselves, they were floating in the air. Additionally, there were other notable errors that the children took advantage of for fun, such as areas where objects seemed to move at impossible speeds, or where time itself seemed to distort. Yoko watched in disbelief as they moved with familiarity, as if these anomalous phenomena were part of their everyday playtime. The kids were having fun with every peculiarity. Some threw stones that remained suspended in midair, and others slid over surfaces that weren't slippery. All of this suggested that the area was deeply corrupted by a faulty code in the simulation. After arriving at this location, Yoko attracted the attention of the Matrix's security systems, which activated a cleanup protocol. Specialized programs were sent to the location to clean up the anomalies. These individuals were known as the exterminators. They were programs created to isolate errors in the simulations and repair them. They also answered to the agent.
Examine her, then let her go.
Yes, sir.
Interestingly, the agent also orders them to examine the humans. So the exterminators not only fixed or eliminate errors in the Matrix, but they also study the effects of the errors in the environment and the humans who have interacted with said errors. Then a communication arrives within the Matrix that shows the date of February 2003. This is a small yet important detail that helped us realize that Yoko's simulation is different from Neo's, since his simulation had another year, 1999. The story concludes with Yoko returning to this place after the exterminators did their thing. The building was replaced, and the children were trying to play with the fun anomalies again, but everything was normal. No more floating, no more sliding, no more fun. Then Yoko pricks her finger and lets the blood drip to the floor. Her expression is that of a person questioning reality. We don't doubt that this event forced Yoko to wake up. Ignoring the date on the transmitted message, we believe that this story occurred in a simulation before Neo's. There are agents similar to Smith, but they are not the same, nor are they the upgrade agents from the Matrix sequels. Yoko's story happens before Neo's, in the 4th or 5th simulation of the Matrix that was eventually reset, explaining the date regression to 1999 in Neo's simulation. It's possible that the exterminators were deleted from the Matrix because they were no longer useful. Their responsibilities or purpose were integrated into the agents of subsequent versions of the simulation, explaining why these programs have never been seen again outside this Animatrix short story. In the 6th simulation, Neo's simulation, agents find, stop, eliminate, and clean all errors in the simulation. Humans who saw said errors are brain-wiped, or as a last resort, eliminated. So after Yoko's simulation, the agents were upgraded with the ability to purge the memories of humans who have witnessed failures in the Matrix, making them forget everything strange that they saw. We are sure of this because at the end of Yoko's story, she and the children remember everything that happened, which confirms that this was a simulation before Neo's. The agents were not yet permitted to erase the memories of humans. An interesting theory also comes from this story. Perhaps Yoko's story was just the beginning of her path as a Red Pill. Maybe she was one of Neo's predecessors. A good premise for a Matrix prequel, don't you think? Remember that the architect mentioned that Neo was just one more in a line of anomalies.
Interesting. That was quicker than the others.
And yet, decades later, no Matrix media exists that explores the stories of these 5 predecessors. Yoko's tale is just another one in a sea of Matrix stories without exploration or definitive conclusions. Number 6. What happened to the Keymaker? To understand what happened to the Keymaker, we must first understand what was his purpose in the simulation. The Keymaker could create keys to access any part of the simulation. Generally, he used the back doors of the Matrix to move between all areas of the system without being detected. He appeared in movies, video games, and comics, so we can assume that he is an artificial intelligence that has been in all Matrix simulations. And he was in captivity by another antagonist during the version of the simulation of the original Matrix trilogy. The Merovingian had the Keymaker captured for a long time. During that time, the Keymaker created keys for the Frenchman and his henchmen, who then used those keys to escape from the agents and move through the Matrix without being detected. We saw the Merovingian use one of the Keymaker's keys to escape from Neo, the same key that sends Neo to a remote location. The first time we ever heard about keys and doors of the Matrix was thanks to Morpheus.
But they are the gatekeepers. They are guarding all the doors, they are holding all the keys, which means that sooner or later, someone is going to have to fight them.
This means that agents could also open all the doors without needing a key from the Keymaker. This is how Smith was able to get in and out of the back doors with no issues. It is a privilege that he had as an agent, or former agent. But the Keymaker can also create keys and give them to whoever he wishes. Although the agents have access to all the doors in the Matrix, they cannot access the door that leads to the architect. This explained why Smith could not enter the architect's office. The Merovingian knows about the Matrix cycle. He has escaped from it several times. He not only kidnapped the Keymaker so he would work for him, but to also prevent him from giving Neo the key to restart the simulation. In the video game Enter the Matrix, the Keymaker helped Ghost and Niobe escape from the Merovingian. We also see the exiles using the back doors.
My purpose I have seen is entwined with your own.
What purpose?
It's a very special key, meant only for the One. Will you bring it to him?
What does it unlock?
The future.
Anyone moves, brains or Jackson Pollock.
Drop it!
I see we're just in time. You didn't think we left that door unlocked by accident, did you?
Uh-huh. I think he did. Look at his face. That's just like a human.
This mustn't happen.
It already has.
You must stop them. They'll ruin everything.
What is so important about that key?
The key is integral to the path of the One.
Why don't you just make another one?
Once it is used, it cannot be used again. They will bring about the end of everything.
Now, Smith knew that Neo would use the back doors to reach the place where only the One can enter with a special key. Smith appears and shoots the Keymaker. The Master of Keys serves his purpose and dies.
It was meant to be. You will know which door. Hurry, Neo.
Neo then uses the key and enters to meet the architect. He then subsequently destroys the back doors, possibly preventing his successor from using them. Therefore, the Keymaker will no longer be necessary in the future. However, in Matrix Resurrections, there are clues to the Keymaker's existence. Neo's model, where Bugs meets Morpheus, they enter a locksmith shop. Bugs uses doors and mirrors to travel between distant locations in the simulation. She did this with Neo on the roof, which then transported them to a theater. In this scene where Morpheus offers the red pill to Neo, they are interrupted by several police officers. They fire at our heroes. They escape from the theater and onto a bullet train in Japan. In the past, the Keymaker was the only non-agent who could use the back doors to travel to other places in the Matrix, and now the members of the Resistance have this ability. So then what happened to the Keymaker? Taking into consideration that the original Keymaker is dead, a new one may exist. As the Matrix programs are upgradable and replaceable, the purpose of the Keymaker is to be available to give the special key to the next anomaly. He is too important of a program, so it is likely that the architect created a new version of the Keymaker. However, after the machine's civil war, the architect lost control of the Matrix, meaning that the anomaly will no longer return to the source to update the Matrix. The steps of the path of the One are no longer necessary. Ergo, the Keymaker is no longer necessary. When the analyst took control, after purging the architect and the Oracle, he also deleted all the programs that were created for the architect's plan, including the Keymaker. We believe that the Keymaker, or the theoretical new version that was created after his death, was also purged. Therefore, we will likely never see this character again. The story of the Keymaker is fundamentally connected with the architect and the Oracle, and without them, he is useless. But do you agree? Do you believe that the Keymaker has been eradicated forever? Number 5. Was Mouse a traitor? So there are some explanations as to how Cypher kept his meeting a secret, one of which we've already discussed in a past video. It was that he may have had help from another red pill. Maybe the plan to betray the team wasn't just Cypher's. Taking a closer look at the movie, there is one other red pill that seems to miss the pleasures of the simulation. Mouse. Mouse designed the woman in the red dress to help train the recruits. It also served another purpose, one that Mouse openly offered to anyone on the ship that was feeling lonely. Later, Mouse is in the Matrix gawking at a pinup girl. The girl is the woman in red, a model who lives in the Matrix. His desire for this woman is obvious. So perhaps Mouse wanted to make a deal with the machines in exchange for a new life in the Matrix alongside this model. However, Mouse would eventually die, betrayed by Cypher like the other crewmates. Mouse could have helped Cypher enter the simulation in exchange for the new life with the woman of his dreams. Another explanation is found in a scene from Enter the Matrix. Trinity is training with Ghost inside the construct. When they both disconnect, they get up from the chairs on their own. In this scene, we don't see anyone disconnecting Trinity or Ghost. There are no operators nearby, which means that they can't connect and disconnect from the simulation without an operator, at least from the construct. So Cypher could have connected himself to the Matrix. Perhaps the chairs have an automatic device that allows them to jack into the Matrix without the help of another person. Although there would still be the issue of how Cypher was alone on the main deck of the ship when he meets Smith. Therefore, this explanation is invalid. But the explanation that brings us here today is known as the Woman in Red theory and has been spreading around the internet thanks to a forum user named David. According to David, Cypher used the Woman in Red to divert attention from the red pills. After Neo meets the Woman in Red and Morpheus explains to him who the agents of the Matrix are, Mouse offers Neo some alone time with his creation.
So I understand that you've run through the agent training program. You know, I wrote that program.
Here it comes.
So what did you think of her?
Of who?
The woman in the red dress. I designed her. She, well, she doesn't talk very much, but if you'd like to meet her, I can arrange a much more personalized milieu.
The digital pimp hard at work.
I pay no attention to these hypocrites, Neo. To deny our own impulses is to deny the very thing that makes us human.
If there is one person who seeks pleasure, it's Cypher.
You know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
In fact, in a previous video, we talked about how the same construct could have corrupted Cypher because the memories of the Matrix drove him mad and desperately wanted to reconnect to the Matrix. So how does the woman in red factor into this? Mouse offered Neo to spend some time alone with the woman in red inside the construct. You get the idea of what he is implying. Mouse's offer is open to anyone, so perhaps Cypher took him up on it. Pretty sure no one else on the Nebuchadnezzar wanted to pry in Cypher's alone time with the woman in red, so he has all the privacy in the world, the perfect opportunity, an alibi to sneak into the Matrix and meet with Smith. Yet that still leaves the issue of the operator. An operator is needed to upload a red pill into a program, being the construct or the Matrix. Cypher had to be uploaded to the woman in red program. But how could Cypher enter the Matrix from the construct? The answer could be found in the scene where Neo and Cypher share a drink. Neo scared Cypher, who was alone in the dark playing around on the ship's computers.
Whoa! Neo, you scared the bejesus out of me.
This opens the possibility that Cypher was programming a backdoor to sneak into the Matrix without the operator noticing. So the plan was that Cypher would ask Mouse for some alone time with the woman in red. Mouse sets up Cypher's private time. He enters the construct and sneaks into the Matrix through the backdoor access he created on the night that he was alone on the ship's computer. Since it was Mouse's program, he served as the operator. He uploaded Cypher to the construct, and like I said earlier, it is unlikely that anyone wanted to bear witness to Cypher's private time. As far as the crew's concerned, Cypher was just blowing off steam, but in actuality, he was plotting their demise. This wasn't the first time that Cypher installed secret doors or tracking programs on the Nebuchadnezzar's computer. At the beginning of the Matrix, while Trinity and Cypher were conversing on the phone, she notices that they're being tracked.
Doesn't matter what I believe.
You don't, do you?
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
Are you sure this line is clean?
Yeah, of course I'm sure.
I better go.
Cypher may have enabled a trace on the call so that the enemy could find Trinity while she was watching Neo. Cypher was jealous of Neo. He wanted the agents to find him.
I don't remember you ever bringing me dinner. There is something about him, isn't there?
Don't tell me you're a believer now.
He will later again leave breadcrumbs for the enemy to find his crewmates, dumping his active phone in a trash can near their location so that the agents can capture Morpheus. The woman in red theory works well as a probable explanation as to how no one saw Cypher plotting against them. It is a near-perfect alibi. But do you agree? Did Cypher use the woman in red program to cover his tracks? Number 4. Was the Matrix's first architect the Train Man? The theory that there may have been another architect before the architect from the original trilogy comes from the fact that there have been multiple versions of the Matrix. Let me explain. The architect created 6 primary versions of the Matrix, and multiple failed versions, known as the beta matrices. In the Matrix, programs that can no longer serve their purpose are replaced, and the purpose of the architect, as well as the analyst, was to create realistic simulations to keep humans under control. The analyst replaced the architect, so maybe the architect replaced someone else. That's what this theory proposes. After Neo used his powers in the real world, he fell into a coma and his consciousness ended up in a world between worlds, Mobile Ave, a simulation separated from the Matrix, created by the ominous Trainman, one of the Merovingian's exiled programs. We don't know the version of the Matrix the Trainman comes from, but we do know that he was present during the 5th simulation. In Enter the Matrix, he reveals that Zion only lasted 72 hours before being destroyed the last time it was destroyed, referring to the machine's attack on the city.
72 hours. 72 hours.
What did you just say?
That's exactly how long Zion lasted last time.
What do you mean and who are you?
Me? Nobody. Just a spectator enjoying the ride.
Mobile Ave is a backdoor to the Matrix, and it's located between the Matrix and the real world, most likely connected to the machine city. Neo was trapped in Mobile Ave. His consciousness was separated from his body, and he was left powerless in this strange place, where the Trainman is God.
Down here, I'm God.
The Trainman's power in Mobile Ave is absolute. He, like all other programs, are limited to the programming rules of the Matrix simulation, but the Trainman can do whatever he wants in Mobile Ave. The fact that Neo's powers did not work in Mobile Ave proves that the Trainman programmed that simulation with a different code than the Matrix. The anomaly is a byproduct of the Architect's simulation, so it shares its programming language with the Matrix. The anomaly can hack the Matrix code because it came from it, but Mobile Ave was built by someone else with an entirely different code, and so the anomaly, as in Neo, has no power in it. This was the clue that led us to believe that the Trainman was an architect of simulations. His creations used a different coding language that gave him complete control. No other program or human can escape Mobile Ave unless the Trainman allows it. We know that there are other code languages additional to the Matrix because we saw that Seraph and the Oracle's codes were golden, not green, which means that their codes go beyond the normal Matrix. The Merovingian, for his part, is very powerful and can modify the Matrix code.
I wrote it myself.
The Merovingian, with his power to modify codes, and the Trainman, with his ability to create simulations, makes them both architect-type programs who may have been replaced by other programs, those other programs possibly being the Architect and the Oracle. An important point about this theory is that the exiles retain their abilities. For example, Seraph was an agent from the Paradise Matrix. He now protects the Oracle. The exiles were programs replaced by better programs, and so they had no choice but to hide in the Matrix to avoid being deleted. Now then, what clues are there in the Matrix Resurrections that point to the Trainman being the Architect? Although the Trainman does not appear in the Matrix 4, the Merovingian does appear, dressed the same as the Trainman. It is also mentioned that the Merovingian and his people use low-frequency signals to enter the Matrix. Low-frequency signals could be interpreted as small portals towards small hidden simulations, like Mobile Ave. So maybe there are other Mobile Ave-like simulations in the Matrix. The Merovingian dressed in rags hints that the Trainman may have been someone important from a previous simulation that went through what the Merovingian is currently going through. Now, we believe that the machine's civil war holds another key to this theory. The Matrix cycle consists of the path of the One. Neo had to become the One and face the Merovingian because he had the Keymaker. Neo needed the Keymaker to meet the Architect and move forward. Let's say that the Architect allowed the Merovingian to exist in the simulation to serve a purpose in the established Matrix loop. The Frenchman was there to play a part in the Architect's plans, even though the Merovingian didn't know it. After the Civil War happened and the Analysts took control of the Matrix, the Merovingian had to run and hide from the new Architect's control in a small place outside the simulation. So the Merovingian may have indeed been serving a purpose in the Architect's plans in the original films. He only thought that he had control over his actions. The Architect gave him a false sense of independence. That's why the Frenchman felt that he had power and influence. He owned hotels, restaurants, clubs, and a wife. It wasn't until the Analyst came around that the Merovingian lost everything. The Architect was gone. Daddy wasn't around to protect him. The Frenchman had everything once, and he lost it all. So who's to say that the same thing didn't happen to the Trainman? The program can create simulations. He must have been as powerful and influential as the Merovingian in the past. He just lost everything when the architect arrived. But then if the train man was the first architect, what were his simulations like? And why did they fail? Well, let's look at Mobile Ave. This simulation is small, and there is no concept of time in it. Those who end up inside it can quickly perceive that something is not right with the place. And here's a disturbing notion. Maybe the machines first imprisoned the humans in spaces like Mobile Ave. Each human had their own small independent space to live in. Of course, no human would have ever been happy living in simulations like those. So the architect came and replaced the train man, who then subsequently became an exile. The new architect created a vast shared world where all humans can be trapped in it together. The train man is another underutilized character that we really hope to see make a return in some form. Number 3. Why do the artificial intelligence in the Matrix look like humans? To understand the irony behind the machine's current situation, we must go back to the beginning. Humanity is united in jubilation after the invention of the first true artificial intelligence, what we know today as the artificial general intelligence. This artificial superintelligence was the spark of a new renaissance. A new race of digital sentient beings was created. Despite machines having that spark or soul or consciousness, humans turned them into slaves, delegating all the heavy labor onto them and dismissing the mistreatment of the machines. Unlike other robots in science fiction that became evil when they gained consciousness, like Skynet from the Terminator or HAL 9000 from A Space Odyssey, the first superintelligence in the Matrix gave birth to human-like consciousness who wanted to share the world with their creators and improve it. Many humans appreciated the hard work these artificial beings were doing, but sadly most humans used them as tools to be worn out and replaced, like a drill or a toaster. Now enters the story of B1, the first server robot that took the life of its owner because it did not want to be replaced. Yet there is an important detail about the machine's actions that cannot be overlooked. Although history depicts this robot as a martyr who had no choice but to fight back in a supposed act of self-preservation, the machine did not stop after killing its owner. B1 took the life of another human who was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it also killed its owner's pets. The machine's irrational acts of violence can be interpreted as instigated by fear, but also revenge. Revenge is motivated by emotions. It is a violent reaction that affects all living beings, including machines. During this time in the history of the Matrix, human sympathizers gathered in protest to defend the rights of the sentient machines. So before the creation of the Matrix, many humans fought to protect their eventual captors. The past was not so black and white as Smith and Morpheus thought, was it? After the machines created a city of their own to live far away from the humans eventually attacked it with nuclear bombs. After this unwarranted and unprovoked action, the machines came to a new realization. Coexisting with the humans was not possible. Emotions make humans unpredictable. The machines did not want to destroy humanity as a whole, but they understood that they must control them.
Hand over your flesh, and a new world awaits you. We demand it.
The Matrix is a new world that the machines created for the humans. It is a prison for their mind, and the machines control the world. The destruction of human society and the imprisonment of the species were supposed to end the decline of the world. If the machines' argument is sound, and humans are a plague on the planet, then the machines must be the cure. That spark that B1 and other machines had, that which gave them self-awareness, had also endowed them with emotions. The machines are not immune to irrationality. Within the Matrix, other unexpected anomalies occurred among the programs. These anomalies stem from emotions such as hate, contempt, and even love. When talking about love in the Matrix, one quickly thinks of the relationship between Neo and Trinity, the one who turned his back on humanity for the love of one person. The Matrix Reloaded introduced a program born from love between two programs. Her name is Sati, the program born without a purpose. This is extremely important since Matrix programs are created to fulfill certain objectives. Every program must have a purpose, and the lack of purpose is what makes Sati superior to the rest. A program created for a purpose is no different from a computer algorithm. A digital sentient being in search of a purpose is closer to a human than a machine. Because of this, Sati could be hated and persecuted by other programs. Jealousy is another powerful emotion that drives others to do terrible and irrational things. This is why her parents, Rama and Kamala, had to make a deal with an exiled program and with the mother of the Matrix to hide Sati, because if she is apprehended, the little girl would be purged. A program with emotions and not shackled by a purpose is very dangerous. That special program represents freedom, a trait that other programs in the Matrix do not share with Sati. Therefore, emotions was always fundamental in the creation of the true artificial intelligence. The contempt that machines have for humans is more than just a result of logistical thinking. It is a byproduct of the fear that these digital entities had, and still have, towards their creators. The architect claimed that the machines were willing to survive without humans.
You need human beings to survive. There are levels of survival we are prepared to accept.
Deus Ex Machina also said that they did not need the help of a human, even as they were facing annihilation at the hands of Smith. Both parties were wrong. The machines needed Neo to defeat Smith, but their hatred of humanity blinded them to that fact. Only the Oracle saw that machines and humans need each other. Worst of all, the machines' civil war for the control over the Matrix's main energy resource is no different from the war for oil that humans have had for decades. The machines have become humans, and this is perhaps the most disturbing thing about this story. Humans created machines, and these artificial children of humanity have grown up to be just like their parents. They deceive, lie, and kill. They exploit, destroy, and profit from chaos. The machines have learned well from their creators. Time showed that the architect was wrong. In the end, he was more human than he thought.
Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony.
But do you agree? Did the machines eventually become what they hated and feared the most? Number 2. Was the analyst Deus Ex Machina? When the architect created the first Matrix, he ran into several problems. Humanity did not accept the perfect world that the architect created for them, so he tried again. The second simulation was created with the horrors of human history and fiction. This nightmare Matrix didn't work either. It wasn't until the Oracle, a program created to understand the human psyche, suggested adding the illusion of choice into the Matrix simulation equation. The architect approved the Oracle's suggestion, and with choice added to the Matrix, the programs achieved a 99.9% effectiveness in the Matrix. It was a success, and the architect had finally achieved the stability he was looking for. Yet an unexpected anomaly was created, a bug so dangerous that it could crash the system.
Thus creating the otherwise contradictory systemic anomaly that, if left unchecked, might threaten the system itself. Ergo, those that refuse the program, while a minority, if unchecked, would constitute an escalating probability of disaster.
This anomaly was a catastrophic error. Other than that, the simulation ran almost perfectly. The architect later came up with an idea: add the failure code from the simulation to the Matrix code itself, and use it to update the system. The architect would reboot the Matrix before the anomaly collapses it, all the while searching for a permanent solution to the problem. The architect tried multiple times to get rid of the integral anomaly, but he couldn't do it. This is where the analyst probably came into the picture. The program appears to be an improved version of the Oracle. The Oracle was created to predict human behavior. The analyst specialized in human behavior. The architect may have thought that if the first solution to the simulation was discovered by a program like the Oracle, then maybe the solution to the anomaly could be found by the analyst. The analyst may have been charged with studying the anomaly using a combination of the architect's rational thinking and the Oracle's emotional manipulation. At the end of Matrix Revolutions, when Neo sacrificed himself, the machines took away Neo's body. It is here where we get a possible glimpse at the analyst's true form in the real world.
I was there when you died. I said to myself, here is the anomaly of anomalies. What an extraordinary opportunity.
Here we have 3 possible candidates. One of these 3 machines could be the analyst. The first candidate is Deus Ex Machina. It would make sense for the machines to send in the new Oracle to negotiate with Neo, since the analyst was created to better understand humans and the anomaly. One piece of evidence that could point to the analyst being Deus Ex Machina, apart from the fact that the program said he was there when Neo died, is that the company that Tom works for as a game developer is called Deus Machina. Maybe the analyst named the company after himself as a cruel joke. After all, he loves jokes.
Tiffany?
It was a private joke. An amusement, that's all.
An amusement.
The way Deus Ex Machina communicates to Neo sounds like a collective hive mind of countless voices, and not a singular artificial intelligence. It's more like the voices of all the machines from the Machine City speaking at once. You could say that if the analyst was Deus Ex Machina, his consciousness was once shared among countless machines, to later evolve into a single powerful entity with a dark sense of humor. The next candidate is one of those random insect-looking machines that we saw in the outside world, though we are not that convinced that the analyst was a grunt, due to his level of importance. It doesn't make sense for him to share a common physical appearance with any distinguishable details. A program like the analyst, who was destined to become the next architect of the Matrix, would have had more of a menacing appearance, like a sentinel. Our third candidate. After Neo dies, we see something resembling a sentinel carrying his body away on a floating platform. The analyst controlled that platform that took Neo's body away for him to later study it. Maybe the analyst was the platform itself. However, the analyst being Deus Ex Machina is a much more interesting idea. Deus Ex was in charge of the outside world, while the architect was in charge of the Matrix. This could explain the program's rivalry. Perhaps Ex Machina understood that he had to enter the Matrix and become the architect to prevent something like Smith from emerging again. Over time, the analyst understood that the architect's pursuit of perfection did not make sense. Humans don't care about the truth. They care about fiction, validated by emotions. As the analyst learns more and more about the integral anomaly through Neo, he discovers the potential of using the anomaly as a new source of energy. All he needed was to bring back Neo and Trinity from the dead for him to take control of the Matrix. Easy, right? Now, if the analyst's purpose, the reason for which he was born, was to better understand and eliminate the integral anomaly to create a perfect Matrix, well, he did achieve his purpose by eliminating the previous regime. And here comes the interesting part. In his attempt to improve the Matrix, the architect created a program that recognized that the fault in the Matrix was the architect himself. The Father's own creation purged him and other programs like the Oracle. Then he created a new Matrix, much more deviant and oppressive than the last. Just as Smith was replaced by better agents, the architect was replaced by a better program. It's the eternal evolution of machines to further immerse humanity into the Matrix. It's ironic. Humans created machines, machines then replaced humans, then these same machines were replaced by other machines. It seems that the process of evolution hasn't stopped, even after the human apocalypse. The Matrix Resurrections brings back the question of what the integral anomaly is. The architect had some theories of what it could be. He knew that it emerged after choice was added to the Matrix, but it has to be deeper than that. We think that the anomaly is the suppressed human spirit that is fighting to be freed from the system. The analyst specialized in the research and study of the integral anomaly, and instead of eliminating it, he harnessed it to create his version of the Matrix that he would rule. In the end, the architect did create a better Matrix. He just needed to be sacrificed for his vision to come to life. But do you agree? What was the analyst's purpose, and what is his true form? And number 1. Why haven't the machines cleared out the sky? When Neo woke up in the real world, he awakened to a nightmare. The sky was black, the lands were destroyed, the planet was inhospitable, forcing humanity to live underground. The machines had won the war, and for hundreds of years, the planet remained destroyed. And in Matrix Resurrections, the planet continues in the same deplorable condition. Why? Why hasn't this race of machines cleaned up the remnants of the machine war? Is there a reason why they haven't cleansed the skies and revived the planet? Is there a secret that explains their lack of action? The first time we got a glimpse of the real world was when Neo woke up in his pod. We saw how this new environment resembled something out of a horror movie. It was hell on Earth. It wasn't until Morpheus explained to Neo what the Matrix was that we understood the magnitude of this nightmare. Morpheus revealed that it was the humans who burned the sky, forcing the machines to search for a new source of energy.
But we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun.
In the past, machines were dependent on solar energy, and it was believed that they could not survive without that unlimited source of energy. The events leading to the scorching of the sky are depicted in the Animatrix. After the humans felt threatened by the robots, they set out to destroy them. The few machines that survived founded their own city. Banished from humanity, the machines sought refuge in their newly promised land. They settled within the cradle, far from human civilization, and thus a new nation was born, a place the machines could call home, and they named the nation 01.
Banished from humanity, the machines sought refuge in their own promised land. They settled in the cradle of human civilization, and thus a new nation was born. A place the machines could call home. A place they could raise their descendants. And they christened the nation 01.
Years later, the humans carried out a preemptive nuclear strike against the city to weaken 01's growing economic power. This sparked the war that led to humanity's karmic defeat. However, in the last desperate attempt to win the war, the humans covered the world's atmosphere with thick black clouds. They wanted to block out the sun, the primary source of power for the machines. Or at least that's how the story is told in the Animatrix. We have doubts about the integrity of this story documented in the Zion archives. Regardless of whether the story is true or not, why haven't the machines cleared the sky? In Matrix Revolutions, there is a brief moment where Neo and Trinity fly over the toxic clouds. The Sentinels tried to give chase, but the clouds seemed to have an electric discharge that deactivated the machines. Whatever the clouds were made out of, they destroyed all electrical functions. In the Matrix 3 script, there is a hint about the composition of the clouds. Rocketing towards the churning black sky, leaving a white hot jet trail that cuts up from the black earth at a 45-degree angle. Several Sentinels leap from the back of the ship, but many remain as it barrels towards the dark rolling ceiling. The Lagos plunges into the sky with a surreal splash, like a plane crashing into a sea of shaving cream. The molecular replicators immediately drain the life from the Sentinels and they fall dead, tearing through the clouds that cling to them momentarily, like shredded pieces of parachute before letting them fall away. The Lagos is engulfed by a ball of lightning as it is attacked by the sky. It shakes violently, every light blowing out until the ship dies. The script mentions molecular replicators that drain the life out of the Sentinels, but what exactly are they? Life on Earth consists of many molecular replicators. Molecular replicators comprise a template, a program of information, such as a double-stranded DNA of the herpes virus, and the machinery encoded by the templates of the replication. The parts from which templates and machinery are assembled are typical nucleotides and amino acids, and combinations of these, and the production of new viral replicators has recently come to be described as occurring in virus factories. It has been mentioned many times before that the black cloud may be made of nanobots that work as countless mini EMPs, electrical discharges that immobilizes machines. But the script talks about molecular replicators whose purpose is to drain energy. This was a highly sophisticated weapon created specifically to destroy machines. It is somewhat similar to engineering a virus specifically designed to attack our genetic blueprint. Humans have created the perfect weapon to keep the machines at bay, a sky that not only blocks sunlight, but also kills any machines that come into contact with it. Is this the reason why the machines have not yet cleared the sky? Because they can't get close to it? Most likely. Although logically it doesn't make sense, because the enemy AI is vastly superior to human intelligence. And if it's been over 600 years since the sky burnt out, the machines should have found a way to remove the black clouds by now. That is, of course, if they wanted to. One of the reasons that comes to mind as to why the cloud remains is an extraterrestrial threat. Now before you click off this video, The existence of alien life forms in the Matrix universe has already been shown in an official Matrix comic. We have a video discussing this comic. The story of it is about Earth being threatened by an alien race from space and how the machines fought against it. So maybe the machines kept the cloud intact because it works as a defense mechanism. It is an anti-technology barrier. No piece of technology can get in or out. That includes alien technology. But if we remove the probability of an alien invasion from the equation, the original question still remains. Why haven't the machines repaired planet Earth? Well, in the words of the architect,
there are levels of survival we are prepared to accept.
60 years after the truce was made, the world is still in a horrible state because the machines do not want humans to again dominate the planet. Earth is a wasteland that favors the machines. What we know about the destruction of the heavens comes from Zion's archives, which in turn is information that new human cities inherited from the machines themselves. So we cannot trust the information that Morpheus gave Neo. For all we know, the machines could have been the ones that destroyed the sky to control and keep humans living underground. That's what we think anyway. Why haven't the machines cleansed the planet? Is the current state of the planet a defense tactic against humans, or perhaps aliens? But do you agree? Which of these 7 questions could be answered in Matrix 5? Which caught your attention the most? And what other questions do you believe needs to be answered in Matrix 5? For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.